think that the schools in Sweden provides a better education than schools in Australia and in USA, because everyone has a chance to good education. It's a lot safer here in Sweden, and we don't have to wear a school uniform. My first argument is that everyone has a chance to good education, and what I mean with this is that the schools are free. You don't have to pay to go to a good school, and you don't have to pay for any materials either. The lunch is free too, so you don't have to bring your own lunch or lunch money, which is very good. So it doesn't matter if you're rich or poor, from Sweden or from somewhere else, you will still have the same chance to a good education. My second argument is that Swedish schools are a lot safer than schools in, for example, USA. Drugs, bullying and other bad things is happening a lot in the USA. And bullying happens all the time in Sweden too, but not at the same level. In the USA, people get beaten up very often. People sell drugs to young children, who later actually can die because of this. Mr. Wallace, a teacher at IS Hässelby, told us that 3 people he knew actually have died because of drugs. And I have gone to 3 different schools here in Sweden, and I have never seen worse bullying than someone saying a bad thing to another person. So, Swedish schools are a lot safer than schools in the USA, because drugs, bullying and weapons is a very rare thing here. My last argument is that we don't have to wear a school uniform. We can dress up as we want, and that is very good, because everyone has their own opinion and style. The school uniforms cost money, and there might be people that don't have enough at that moment. So that's why I think Swedish schools are better, because there is no school fee, so even poor people have a chance to good education. We don't have to worry to go to school. It is safe, and we can express ourselves with our clothes, because we don't need to wear a boring school uniform. Thanks for listening.
I've interviewed Mr. Dent and Ms. Wallace about the schools in the USA and Australia, but I decided I think Sweden provides the best education. I think so because almost everything is free, you don't have to wear a school uniform, and there's a safe environment. Swedish schools, you don't have to pay for your education, so everyone has the right to get a good education. The school lunch is also for free, so you don't have to bring food from home, and the food you get from school is good and healthy. In some schools in other countries, the students have to pay for the material and school books. But in Sweden, you got that for free too. I think that's good, because some students might not have so much money, and it's good that they have the same rights as everyone else. When I interviewed Mr. Dent, he said that 40% of all schools in Australia is private schools, and 60% is ordinary schools. That means that almost half of the schools in Australia is private, and you have to pay to go there. My second argument is that you don't have to wear school uniforms in Sweden, which gives you the opportunity to create your own style and show your personality through your clothes. But in Australia you have to wear school uniforms, so you don't have the freedom to do that, and you also have to pay for your school uniform yourself. My last argument is about the safety in schools. In USA, it had happened that students have bring weapons to schools, and Ms. Wallace also said there's a lot of drug dealing. I never experienced that in Sweden. There's also a lot of bullies in USA, which isn't here in Sweden. That's why I think Swedish schools seems better and provides a better education. Thank you.
Good morning. I've been interviewing Mr. Wallace from USA and Mr. Dent from Australia. I did this to be able to make this decision whether the schools in Australia, USA or Sweden provides the best education. I decided that the schools in Sweden is the best because we have free schools, food and school materials. We don't need to wear school uniforms, which I prefer, and we also have a lot safer environment. Firstly, in Sweden the most is free when it comes to education. It doesn't cost to get into a good school, and the school material is for free. The food is also for free, and it is a lot healthier than the food in USA. In Australia, 40% of all their schools are private schools, and that's almost half of the schools in Australia. This means that you have to either be rich or get a stipendium to be able to enter either of these schools. There you also need to bring your own food to school in Australia or buy it at the cafeteria. and school materials is not for free. In USA it's almost the same, but there the food is really unhealthy. This means that you may get hamburgers and pommes frites for lunch, which may sound like heaven, but it's really not good. It's unhealthy and you will probably get sick of it after a while, and you will probably gain a lot of weight. Secondly, I find it wrong to not be given the option to wear school uniforms or not. In Sweden you can wear whatever you want as long as it's appropriate. But in schools like Australia you got to buy school uniforms, which I find is unbelievable. You may not even like it, but you still have to pay for it. And by wearing a school uniform you're not able to express yourself in what you're wearing, which I find sad. And let's not forget one school issue in schools all around the world, to be able to feel safe. In schools like Sweden, the safety of the students is always the first priority. Mr. Wallace told me that in USA bullying is huge, drugs are everywhere and weapons like knives and guns can be smuggled into the schools. This is wrong in so many ways. You don't feel safe, you don't feel equal freedom because of all of the bullying, and how are you supposed to be able to study when all of these things are going around you? He also told me that he knew 3 or maybe even more people that have died because they have been using drugs, which is really sad. And sometimes people may even rush into other schools just to pick fight with students, which I find dreadful. And in Australia, there's also a chance that you will meet dangerous or poisonous animals in the schoolyards. Of course, it's a very small chance, but it's still there. Here in Sweden, we never really need to worry about this kind of stuff. That's why I think that Swedish schools are better, because of the free schools, food and school material, and the right to be whatever you want. It also has a safer environment. Thanks for listening.